morning, friends. Good morning, friends. In the last lecture, we had discussed about the GUI programming, right? Conventional programming and event-driven programming. Conventional programming means it is our black window programming, where we can just it is good for the programmer, but it is not good for the normal users. Event-driven programming is a good for the for regular users, right? Rapidly users, or it is a more useful for the public applications. So non-programming knowledge of users also they can use a GUI applications for the regular daily life applications. And for that purpose, Java support the GUI component, which is part of the abstract window toolkit. Right, the package name is java.awt and awt events, but it is a old version before the 1.2 versions, and after that we use the Java Swing component for the display purpose. Right, button label checkbox is a part of the component which is visible to the user. Window, panel, applet, which is a part of the container, which is contains this first kind of the objects. This is an example of the frames. We derive our class from the frames, create the object of the button. It set the properties, that means the left and top, width and height. That means we just define the location of the button in the frame when we add that button in the frame. This size for the frame we can default this dot set size 300. Layout manager, no, we can use a manual configuration. Visible, okay, then it is visible, otherwise it is not visible. Okay. Swing component, which is a updated version of the AWT controller Java X.swings, right? And related with the some events is also defined in the swing event, which is more rich compared to the AWT and also good and look feel, right? The point of view of the performance. So in the new code, it is recommended to use the swing components instead of the AWT components. And the look and feel is like this one. It is similar on the window or Linux. Over here we create the buttons, set the size of the button and locations, add the button to the frames. Right, the AWT components, and AWT is a different, is a old component independent, platform dependence, heavy weights, have the more processing power, space, right? Yes, event is important component. So when our user perform the some actions on the buttons, so buttons, label, list box, throttle, it is what action generated. When we click on the buttons, action is created. And second, when we create a button, we need to perform this operation, so it is observed by the listener. Second step is listener. Every event have a specific listener. Action is listener, item listener, change listener, mouse motion listener. So we need to define the listener particularly related with the work event, whatever we expect or whatever we require to perform, right? Otherwise skip it. That means if we do not define the mouse event, then user will click whatever, left click, right, it is not behaving. And last one is a handler. That means it is related to the function. So when user perform the action, right, who is the responsible to give the answer? So our action handler is the responsible, right? And for particular event, the particular class is available. So when we click on the button, the object of action event is created by the JVM, and that pass to the action performed method. And from there we can take the data. Okay, which button is clicked, how it is clicked, right? When it is clicked. Right? So for the button, right, we require the action listener to observe the button is clicked or not, and to pass the information to the action component, we require the object of the action event. And similar for the different listener for the different components, depend on which component we used, right? We define the listener and we also use the event class, right? Now in the today's lecture, we'll learn about the applet. The applet is nothing but it is a similar kind of the frame, right? Window, but it is uh, for the frame we require the main method to execute. That means it is used for the local applications, right? And it is good and multiple time we use. But in the before the some time 2 3 years, applet is also used for the GUI application as well as for the web application. That means it is we can add the applet in our HTML code, so it is easily can available at everywhere on the public side. In the frame application we need to pass that particular application to the users and that execute that application, otherwise it is not available to them. Okay, now how the applet is executed. So for the frame it is simple main method, we can call the java c and java, the frame is executed. In the applet we first compile using the java c, but for the execution we use a applet viewer, right? We use a applet viewer, this one. Our second method is the HTML code, which is deprecated right now. It is not supported by the user for the security point of view, because this class is loading in the browser on the client side and executed. So it is very dangerous to capture the information from the client side. So the right now the browser is not supported, right? So our method is applet viewer. It is possible to execute the local. It is not possible to execute on the remote side. So that means it is a similar kind of the frames. Okay, now how applet is executed from the exam point of view, this question is also important theoretically. The describe the life cycle of the applets. So when we create the object of the class applets, right, the init method is automatically executed by the JVM. That means for the configuration purpose of first one time executed, only just one time executed like a constructor, right? We set the our parameters in the init method, or we set the configuration in the init method because it is one time executed. Then after it is called the automatically start methods. So start method is display the GUI window. Clear? Okay. When we minimize, so it is called the stop method. That means window is minimized, right? Suppose if any animation is over there, then it is right now not visible, right? But again, when we start, so again it is calling the start. So start called the run method called the paint method. So again, it is what executed, right? Okay. So it is what stop, start, stop up. Whenever window is active, start method is executed. When the window is inactive, it is a stop method is executed. And finally, when we close the window, right, the destroy method is executed. So we can write the code at the destroy or destructor type. So this is a life cycle of the applet. The example of the applet is we derive the class from the applets, right? We can over here define the init, start, stop, destroy methods, but right now we just take the example of the paint method, and paint method have a one argument graphics object. So that means it is responsible for the displaying the object on this graphics window, right? So g.draw string, we like to draw the string on our graphics, right? And 50-50 is the left and top corner, and this is a code, right? For the HTML code right now it is not important. Or we can also use for the as a init method. If we define the init method, then we can take this parameter, right, using the init method. So how we can execute using the HTML or using the applet viewer. Right now we use only applet viewer because HTML is a deprecated, not supported by the browser. Okay. Now which function is supported by the graphics? So over here we just take the set color. That means we can change the color whatever we like, right? Draw string, whenever we require to draw the string, we use this method, right? 50-50 is the left and top corner of the string. Draw line draw करनी है, right? So what is the left and top? It's the 20 and 30, and 20 and 300 is a second, x2 y2. This is the difference of the line, right? In the line we pass the x1 y1 and x2 y2. Draw rectangle. So it is a 70 and 100 is the left and top, and 30 and 30 is a width and height. Similar method. Fill rectangle, this one, 170 and 100, and 30 and 30, right? So it is a width and height. Draw oval. So draw oval is this one, 70 to 100, 30 by 30. Set color, we change the color. Fill oval. So oval like our circle or ellipse we can, right? So over here we can just type the 170 to 100, but fill oval means it is also filled with the colors. Now draw arc. So it is not a complete circle we required. but we need to draw the partial circle or partial ellipse. In that case, it is a similar parameter left, top, width, height, but this is the starting angle and this is the angle of size. So we start from the 30 and draw the 270 angle. That means add at the 300. 30 to 300. That means the size of the angle is the 270. Fill arc over here 270, 150 is the left top corner, right? 30 by 30 we can use the size of the circle, right? Full circle. We start from the 0 to 180. Okay, so we can take the first example of this example, demo examples in the NetBeans. We also have the one practical application, right? Write a program in the Java applet for the filling the various graphical object with the colors. Okay, so how we can do it? Okay, this one. We create the in the tomorrow's yesterday example we derive the G frame, right? From the frame text field we create the 3 text box, right? Set the size, we create the 3 labels, right? Buttons, and then add button and add text box labels and buttons to our frame. This is the layout for the frames. Now we take the one more example for the graphics. So create the one class, my graphics. We need to derive extend from applet, control space, so it is automatically imported. Okay, and void, public void, all the methods are public, return type is void, right? Method name is paint, and paint have a one argument graphics. We need to import the graphics jar.awt. Okay. Right now we execute first. What happened? So applet is display the default size. Okay, we can change the size of the window. How we can? So it is a part of the applet, so we can not from the paint, either in the init method or either from the constructor of that applet. It is also possible. You can change public void init, right? This dot set size or set bond is a better method for us. Suppose it is a 100 500. I'm sorry, left top width and it's not working. Can define the my graphics. Ensure the member access when the access is not granted to change the size right now. Okay, I can check it. I've just done it. Or you can also in the start method. We right click void start. Not okay. Okay, we check it later on. Right now we are drawing the methods. Take the suppose human face, how we can draw. So first we need to draw the ellipse, right? Oval. Draw oval. Right? Suppose we take the 10 10 and suppose 250 width and height. You can check it how it is visible on the window. It's somewhat large. We need to centralize and somewhat that means we need to increase the depth, and this time width is we need to width is also fine, but we need more than 200. Suppose we take the 150 approximately, right? 206. Okay, good. Again it is, we just reduce the 180 and we increase this with 60 and make it centralized. Now draw the eyes, see dot, draw again over. Right. So what is the left? The left is more 90, suppose 20 and 5, 5. And then second eyes, so 90 and 120. Suppose check it. So we have forget to close the previous window. Okay, this one. Instead of the draw, we use a fill method, right? Just over here. That means we require the more top and more width. Over fill. We require the more left and top. So we say 1 1 and more top, which is 40 40 150. Check it. Still we require the more. So we require the 60 120 160. Okay. We also make more distance. So it is a 180 70 70. Right? Okay. A little bit more. 30 and 90. Okay, enough. Right. Okay, now we take the example of arc. Draw arc. Okay. Draw arc is approximately, if we take from the left, suppose we take the 130, right, to 1 starting from 130, and it is suppose 150 top. Width is what, on 60 and height is suppose 10. Angle we require to start from the 180 smile like a 180 to 360, right? Look like a smile. We check it example so it is more understood. Yes, but oh sorry, we just give the smile, so we just take the 180 though it is a 360. We give the more so heights, right? And we just decrease the sum. Right? So that means we can draw the any kind of this shapes, right, using our graphical objects. Give the name. Suppose we can write anywhere. Or we can first change the color. Set color. Let's suppose we can just the background as a yellow. Now G dot fill a rectangle. Take this suppose outside, so or middle one. So what is the top? Suppose take the 100. Sorry, width 130, 100, right, 100. Check it. Right, is displayed in the middle of the face. Okay, but we do not need so much size. Right. So how we can do it? Suppose it is a 30. We require the more width 50, but left is not so much, so we set the 80. Top is also fine. Okay. And we also again G dot set color dot red and G dot draw string face. What is the size? Oh, 170. Let's give the 150. Top is 100 or move down 1. We can change it as we require. Okay, so that means this kind of the object we can generate, right, using the different possible graphs, right? Okay, we go for the next. Right? So you can try yourself any shape and write as a practical. Now, what is the next? Next is a right. Okay, frame example of the JFrame, which is already we take the demo in the yesterday lectures. Create the object of the frame, right? Set the size, default close, visible. Okay, labels. We also take the example of labels, right? Get text that is normally available in the almost controls. Get text, that means take the data from the control to our variables, and set text means we set the data from our variable to on the control display purpose. Alignment left, center, right alignments. Example of the labels. So we create the labels, set the size, and left top is the label position. Second labels, we add label 1 to the frame, label 2 to the frame, right? So it is already displayed in the label, right? Button, J button. We also take the example set text. Yes, set enables means if set enables is equal to false, right? The button is visible but it is not enabled to the user. That means but user cannot perform the action, not click on that particular button. So it is used for the multiple purpose, right? Until the it is not satisfied our conditions or select the checkbox or like that, or clear the validation, we do not enable for the submit. And add action listener is also we take the example, right? So when we require to bind the any function action perform it to this one, so we pass the object of that particular class where we implement the action listener, right, to that particular button. That means if button is clicked, then we can bind the action performance method in the predefine it, right, to that particular button. So that function is automatically executed. JFrame buttons, set button, we add the button, but right now we cannot perform anything because we do not implement the action listener. Yes, this is another example of the buttons. Created button, set the size. Yes, add the action listener this. in the current class we also implements the action listener, right? So we give the current class object this, right, or any other class of the objects. Now when we click on that particular button, the action performance is executed. When we implement this action listener, we compulsory implement the action performance, whether it is not compiled, create the error, right? Because action listener is an interface and action performance is defined, it is a part of the our method, so we need to override that method. So simply we take the counter variable plus plus and that counter value to the our button text like this one. Right? Text field, take the inputs from the users, similar methods. Right? Define the text field, J text fields, right? Set bonds and add text to the particular frame. Now J text field, J buttons, okay. Set buttons, right? Add the text box, text field to the frame, button to the frame, then action performed. So where we add the listener over here. Add action listener for the button B1. So when button is clicked, this function is called. We take the text from the text box. So whatever we type in the text box, we take the text, right, and we set the text to our text box. Yes, layout manager. So layout manager is what? So normally we use the manually location of the every control and we need to calculate that particular thing. But for the normal applications, right, so we have the suppose like put level in one side of the text box, one side the information labels, or structured layout like that. So for that structured layout, we have the availability of different layout, and we can also customize it as we required. Right, composition of multiple hybrid layouts. So first one is the border layout, right? The border layout is what? So border layout, this one. So we create the number of buttons, border layout dot, but option is what? When we add this button, right? B1, right? North, south, east, west, and center. These are just button names, but when we going to add, right? So we give the second option now. So our main frame is divided in the five portion, right? Exactly in the five portion: north, west, south, center, east. So we can suppose create the text box and we like to add the text box over here. Then we add the text box P1, then border dot layout dot east, right? So it is automatically put it over here. So that means it is look like a structure. We can put our component at the different location. Automatically it is as if we do not need to calculate the left and top. So it is good for it. You can check the example. Um, my layout. We need to also forget to test the start, stop, and that methods. Okay, so we first complete, then we can go for the next. Strings J applets. So we can just define the public, right? Init. Similar method is for the start, stop, destroy. Start, stop, destroy. Okay. Now, suppose we just print that below window location. This is what our init method. Start method. for the testing purpose when this method is executed or not. Stop method. So what we discussed, the when object is created, init method is called, and it is executed for only for the one in our applications. Start method, whenever our window is active, the start method is executed. When it is deactive, stop method is executed. And destroy, the when we close the window, destroy is executed. This is a life cycle of the applets. Okay, we execute it. This one over here, what init method and start method, right? Okay, we minimize it. What happening? Stop is executed. Maximize again, start, stop, start, stop. Right now I close, destroy. Right. So means when we use an init method, so if we need to define our initial parameter or one times initial starting value, we can write that code in the init method. When we are going to display the controls, right, the country visibility of controls, so we can use into that start method. And stop methods, so when we do need to inactive that particular controls, or normally we do not require to do anything in the stop methods, but we can do it if we require something. Suppose we have user connections, right? So we can stop that connection to save our resources. And destroyed, so destroyed, when we destroy the, we can just destroy the every method or connections, right, if we occupy. So this is the life cycle of the applets. Okay. Now we are our target is what? I can just create the one new move, let reflect life cycle. This code, because we create this class for the layout managers, so it is good for this for our naming convention. Okay, so we can easily share this code after the completion of lectures. Now we can, instead of applet, we can just take the example of frame for the local application. Okay, now can my layout manager as a constructor with methods, right? We can also define the public static void main. We do not need to do anything, we just create the object or the layout and it is executed, right? If we need to pass the title, then my frame, right? So we need to take the title string, right? This my frame dot set title. Now what is another thing we need to set? This dot set bonds, right? Suppose it is a 100, 300, left top with height. Second thing, we need to set visibility, right, equal to 3. Then last one is the default close option. Set default close options to gframe dot exit and close. This is the default configuration. Now our target is to create the buttons and or labels or control some things and add in the different section of the border layout. Suppose we need button b1 equal to new j button. Click on, we add this button, right? So this the add here we hit north, east, south, where we can edit. Something's problem in charger. So is it we do not have it is already charged. Right, it is by default in a center position. Now we can set border layout dot north, right, in the north portion. Right, 2, 3, suppose south, suppose east. What we B2, B3, check it, right, like that. So that means when we require the structured layout, so it is automatically add the our particular component to particular that logo, titles, footer, headers, right? So it is good for us to set the individual controls that we indirectly use, or we can also use a panel inside that, and then we nesting of controls inside that particular panel. Grid layout, it is similar to the border layout, but different is this: the in the border layout we have the only 5 sections. In the grid layout we can create the as we require, right? So like this on the set layout, new grid layout 3 by 3, so it is generated 3 by 3. When we add the first component, the first button, so it is all by default it is added in the first, right? Second, then second, third, and third. It is similar to the border layout. Flow layout, yes, this is again it is a we use as a normal layout or default layout, right? So what is that flow layout? So when we add the button, it is a add in the one by one. By default is a left side. So button 1, button 2, button 3. So it is follow the our order of the addition, right? In the previous one, in the border section, we can add the anywhere, or we can the grid, we can just give the location of the grid, right? 0 0 0 1 0 2. It is automatically add in that particular location. But in the flow layout it is not possible. We can just add, right? As we add in the our flow layout it is visible, right? If we add the button 5 first, then it is visible first and then second. So it is a default layout. Box layout, so box layout is nothing but we create the 5 buttons, right? This is a variable of the 5 buttons, right? Not object is created. We use the loops to create the 5 button, name button 1, button 2, button 3, and add that button. But we use a set layer as a box layout. And then what is the direction? The direction is a y-axis. That means we use the vertical. The button 1, button 2, button 3, button 4 is like a mobile screen, label, text box, and then button, right? If we x-axis, then it is a horizontal, but it is not more meaningful. Y-axis is a more useful, or in the vertical screen we use it, right? Card layout. Card layout means like if we play the card, right? So normally when we play the card, only one card is over there. We can just pick the one card, the next one is available. Next is a pick, second is available, like that. So what we doing over here, get the content pen. Content pen means this pen, container, in which we need to add the controls, right? We create the card layout by the 40 and 30, right? The width is 40 and height is 30. Card layout, that means one card is visible right now, okay? Card, and c dot set card layout. Now this we can set it, That means this is the size of our card layout. We can add the our card in this layout. Button 1, button 2, button 3 is created. We add the action listener, right? C dot add, right? A B1. That means now in the C get content pane, right? Get content means my frame, nothing else, right? We add the B1 in our frame, B2 in our frame, and B3 in our set, right? A, B, and C is the name of that. Okay. Now when we click on the button, right, this one, so we just what we are doing, card dot next C, simple. We just gives a content pane. Content pane is a set of our cards, right? And that it is just only rotate the next card, next card, next card. Okay, we check it the example how it is doing. But which kind of the layout is better? It is depend on our requirement. Okay, over here we have a suppose 3 buttons. We also need to implement the action listener for visibility. Implements, right, action listener, and for that purpose we need to perform the action performed method. Public action, public void action performed object is the action event. We need to import jar.awt, right? Okay, we write the coding after that. Now instead of board layout we are going to use a card layout. We write the code for the card layout. Suppose we create the 3 buttons. Okay, we also bind the dot add action listener, add action listener p1, not p1, this, okay, because we are implemented over here, and b2 and b3, 3 buttons. Action listener is just one method, means all the functions calling the same. Okay, fine. Link in this constructor can manage it. Now we need content pane card layout, right? So container pane, container, right? AWT, this is our container. We define the variable outside method, so because we need these variables in our action performance, and we also need the card layout, card layout, right? Layout CL, or we just define the card name. Now what's we need, right? First we need to get the content pane, get content pane, right? Means whatever portion is visible over there we can take it. Now we can add the card layout, right? Set the card layout dot set layout is what our card layout. We can add the control, right? Required frame dot add, right? Card layout, and we also give the name for our simplified purpose. First card is a, second card is a B, and third card is a C. We give the name because it's maybe not only just button, it is maybe a set of the controls, right? We take the one panels, put the some controls over there, and we can add is a panel, B panel, like that. It's maybe a complex of the controls, right? Over here we require the button B2, B3. Okay, we check it. Looks good. It's happening or not? Okay, we need to set the size of the button. Dot set default size 130. Right, get the content pane, card layout. Okay, already create the object of the card. No, forget to object because it is a right now this is null. Card layout, height and vertical. Suppose we require the 150 width and 100 height. Okay, okay. But still button is not over there. What we missing? Card layout, card layout. We set the layout. Yes, we can set the layout, right? We create the button. Okay, add C content pane. Okay, not directly we can add in the content pane. Still is not visible. Why? We are doing some mistake. Container, so we can derive the container. Can card layout, card layout. Everything is just declaration of button is outside, nothing more different. And we can also define, this is not an issue. Over here it is not a problem, but we can change it. Right, okay, now check it. First to define the layout. This logical something mistake somewhere else. We miss something. Nothing the same. So we missed cart layout size. This is what my okay. This is okay. This one is already done. Set visible to you. So it's not, no frame is visible. Right? That is not the issue of the frame. The issue of button is not visible. So what is the problem with the button? We can declare the outside. There is no issue because we are not going to right now use outside that. If they require, then we can. Okay, okay, fine. Still it is not visible. Something still mistake. Everything is fine. Get the content pane. Yes, not issue. And C is a container. C is a container. Card layout. Set layout. Okay, I check it. But this is look like this one. At a time, one card is displayed, and when we are going for the next, it is visible over there. We can also try to write. It's maybe not first card is visible, but next one is visible. But if not first is visible, how we can click? also do it from over here. Card is not visible. So there is something issue related with this one. It's not oversized. It's related with the oversize. We can button size is something mistaken. We use the default size. We do not need change it. Okay, go with the default size. That is issue with the size of the buttons. Okay, now we click on the button. So at a time one card is displayed. Okay. So depend on our application, right? We use the different layouts, whatever we best for our applications. Now J option pane. So J option pane is what? It is just pop up. Suppose over here when we click on the button, right? We need to call it, suppose J option pane. So message dialog, confirm dialog, message dialog. We can check it one by one in the detail. But what is the root pane? So this is my current this, and this is what my object dot get source. That means click it button dot get text. I can just type it separately. It is what my object, and I know that I click on the button. That means my object is a button get source. Button is clicked. Button, suppose is a temp button. Now I can whatever button is clicked temp dot get text. We need to cast over here. Maybe it is a clicker on the list or drop downs or checkbox ready buttons. So first we need to check the which kind of the source is clicked. This is the kind of the button, we cast it, then we can access the property of the button. Otherwise it is not accessible, it is generalized. Right, so right, the option is show message dialog. Hit click 3, click 1. So it is the source of the buttons. This is not required over here. Now option pane, hit message and type of the message. So this is what message type. We can all differently create this one. So create dialogues, right? Dialog is a different with number of kind of dialog is available, like color dialog, right? File dialog, save dialogs, open dialogs. So these are derived from there. So it is available to create the dialog with the title, right? Mostly we use a show message dialogs. So parents control in which is a until we cannot close that control, the parents control is not available, right? Over here, suppose we are executed this one and we click it, the until I cannot close this one, this is known as a modeling of form, it is not accessible. So it is a parents control, right? And suppose I cannot pass the parent control, then it is not bounded. Default it is taken as the parents, right? But if we have a different window, then we can also pass the particular object. Right now we give the this for the current object for the surety. But if we have the multiple forms, suppose we create the menu and open the new form, in that case we can use this thing, right? And confirmations. So confirmation means these are just only message dialog have the only one button. Okay, read it and click on the OK. You do not have any choice. But in the confirmation you have the two choice, right? Which one? So it is a no and cancel. No and cancel. Yes, no and cancel. So you can either click on the yes, no and cancel, and depends on your response. Your response is integer, right? 0, 1 and 2. Depend on your instance, we can take the performance, right? Suppose we can take it. I just comment it and J option dot show confirm dialog. Parents is my this and temp dot text similar, right? But now it is a confirm, that means we have a result. Now what is the result? The result is a integer. I can say in the integer. Now I can compare. If result is what? Result equal to J option pen dot, right, cancel button, yes button, no button, which one? Yes, no, right? Suppose it is a yes option, right? So yes, whatever we can do the, right? Else if option pen dot no option, then no, right? Else third option is a cancel, or we can check it again, right? Yes, answer is yes, no, answer is no, cancel, answer is yes. That means depend on user action, we can take the necessary actions. Right? Set input value to, that means we directly check it. Uh, this is show input dialogs. So show input dialog is what we show the one text box. User can type any name or mobile number or like that, and we take that value, right? And that value is written as a string. So it is normal as a one input dialogs. Okay. This is the example. Show message dialog. We just show the message, nothing else. Show message dialogs. Yes, these are option alert. So we just change the, this by default is the information system icon. This is a warning message, right? So it's depend on your symbols. It is taken necessary. And alert is a title of the windows. Show input dialogs. So internet. This one type text is over there. One text box is there. We can type the text and take the string. Right. This is what confirmation dialog. Show confirms as we paste it. Right. Depend on our text. It is a yes, no, and cancel. And depend on option, we can check it. Okay. We stop the lectures over here. Right. You learn it, practice it. Right. And if you have any doubts, then you can discuss with me or chat with me or call me. Right. If you required. If you have a question, then ask. Otherwise, we stop this lecture over here.